Okay, hello everyone. Welcome. We are glad to have you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking some time to spend some time with us today. My name is Brad Cooper. I'm with ClientWise, and I'm joined by our CEO, the CEO of ClientWise, Lee Reams. Would you go ahead and say hello to the folks, Lee?
Hey, Brad. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited for this presentation. Let's get it going.
That's great. Good. We have a pretty large group joining us, and we are going to have folks continuing to join here. We did just send a link through the GoToWebinar with a help link if you have any trouble signing in. We have a large group, like I said, and in fact, we have people across the United States who've registered and signed up, and I see that are joining, and even internationally, it looks like, Lee, we have folks as far away as Australia joining us this morning.
Wow,
so I think it's about 4 a.m. there. So good day to those down under. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with some housekeeping just to tell you a little bit about the webinar. It is going to be about 50 minutes long. We are going to move very quickly. We have a lot to cover. If we move fast, that's okay. We'll have a recording and you can watch it again later, and then it'll be about 10 minutes at the end for questions and answers. And please do stay to the end. We have some special offers for you. We also have some prizes that we're going to give to some of the more active participants on the webinar. And it's also required for the CPE. Lee's going to go over the details of the CPE credits in just a minute, but please do stay to the end. It will be recorded, as I just said, and available for playback. So if you are registered for the webinar, you will get a link with the recorded video if you want to share it with colleagues and friends afterwards, or if you just want to watch it again, that would be great because we are going to go fast. So don't worry about taking notes because it will be available. If you have questions, please send them. We love questions. We love to hear questions. We will have some folks monitoring their questions as they come in. And the little screenshot there, you should see that questions box in your GoToMeeting software. Go ahead and type that in, and we'll monitor that throughout. And then we're going to collect the questions and answer some of them, as many as we can get to, towards the end. And yeah, so somebody, just again on the CPE, we're going to have details on that in a minute. I see a couple of questions coming on that. So this webinar is designed for U.S.-based, predominantly small tax and accounting practices. But it can benefit larger practices. It can benefit other types of businesses as well. But that's really the focus of this presentation. It's also going to cover, you know, beginners in social media all the way up to even advanced. There might be some tips and tricks. Even if you're in your old hat at social media, we'll try to cover the gamut here on that. And then just a real quick disclaimer, we're not attorneys, so if you have some ethical social media issues particular to your type of practice or your state, please be sure to consult your governing bodies or local legal representation for those kinds of issues. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay, so about our presenters. So Lee, why don't I go ahead and turn it over to you if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the folks.
Sure, Brad. My name is Lee Reams II. I am the founder and CEO of ClientWise. I've been working with independent tax and accounting professionals for over 20 years. We did this first through our company, Image One, which we grew to over 40,000 customers across the country. And we developed mostly print and content for tax and accounting professionals to help promote their brands to retain clients, things like newsletters, brochures, et cetera. We sold that business about 8 years ago to Greatland and kind of regrouped and realized that the digital world was upon us, and we started ClientWise, which its entire focus was on digital marketing and branding. So today we're really into spreading the word of all of our successes, and we hope this presentation on social media will be very helpful to you.
Great, thank you. And Lee also is really a pretty prolific writer and speaker and guest posts on other places as well. So we have a blog here on ClientWise. We have a blog on TaxBuzz, which lots of great content there. So please check that out from Lee. Again, my name is Brad Cooper. I'm also an executive at ClientWise and been working with thousands of small practices and businesses, particularly on their digital marketing for over 20 years. Also been very active in social media. So over probably a decade now on social media marketing, LinkedIn and Twitter in particular, where that's been a big, strong focus of mine since the early days. And so look us up on LinkedIn if you like. The links are there. We'd be happy to connect with you, or just reach out to us if you have questions. Or if you'd like, a more personal review of your social media, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to kind of look at your practice and what you're doing and give you some expertise and thoughts there. So Lee, if you wouldn't mind just going through the CPE credit.
Sure. So the first thing, you do need to be a CPA. This is 1 hour of CPE credit for marketing. We are a QAS NASBA approved vendor. We, through the GoToWebinar technology, basically will watch the attendance, and if you're there for the full 50 minutes and participate in the 3 polling questions that come through, you will be the credit will be available to you. We will send you an email at the end of the presentation that will go over the instructions on how to log into our Learning Center, and at that point you'll be able to attain your certificate. There is a link here that you can use, which is going to be sent in the email, and then there's a special code. So once you get that link, just click on it, enter the special code, and then you'll be guided through the process to get your CPE credit.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Lee. And so just about the webinar and what we hope you'll learn and take away today. So some practical, easy ways to increase your social media and your social media return. And so it is a pretty complex environment. We're going to give you some quick tips and really focus on the practical things that you can do starting today to help you with your social media and your practice. And the basics of what you'll need and what you don't need. There's a lot of folks who will tell you, you do all of these things, and we're going to show you some, and you can do some. But really, it's a focus on some of the core things you need before you even think about getting referrals as a basic start, and we'll go through that. Some of the pitfalls that you'll want to avoid, some of the do's and don'ts in social media, and then some lesser-known tips and tricks that you might not have heard elsewhere. Again, it's been a focus of ours for many years, especially in accounting and tax and with practices. So a few tips to get you in front of more prospective clients to help you grow your business and your practice. And then in particular, some next steps for you and a guideline. We'd love to continue the conversation with anybody that's on the call today about very specific next steps for you and your practice as it relates to social media and anything we can do to help you there. A little bit about ClientWise, and Lee gave you a little bit of the background. ClientWise, and we also have a site called TaxBuzz, but we're really focused on helping independent accounting and financial practices. Many of the folks on this call, we really do believe that you are all the backbone of our economy. It's all we do, it's all we focus on, and we really believe that you're sort of the folks that help fuel our economy, fuel growing businesses, and help individuals as well as small businesses to realize their dreams. And so that's why over the 10 years or so that we've been around, we've been building technology and services to help small practices across a variety of different areas, predominantly digital marketing, but things like websites, content marketing, reputation building, client portals, search engine optimization, all the things that you see there. And if you'd love to learn, if you'd like to learn more about any of that, again, we can be happy to talk to you about some of the things that we do. And we also are big believers in education. So we actually have a pretty big CPE focus. And so with these webinars in particular for marketing, we cover a lot of the same areas that we work with in our company. And so for today, for last month, we had a webinar which you can view. There is a recording of that. That was focused on reputation building and TaxBuzz, our site TaxBuzz. And then today, obviously, we're very focused on social media. Coming up next month, which will most likely be end of August, we'll be sending more information on that. Really going to dive into that sticky and intimidating and sometimes crazy world of search engines and getting ranked and why am I not on page 1 of Google and those kinds of things. So we'll be talking about that in an upcoming webinar, hopefully next month. Okay, so a little bit more about today's agenda. Going to cover some common myths and fears that a lot of accountants have that we talk to every day. Why bother? So why are we all here at this webinar today? So how can this help me? Is it going to help me? And what are some of the reasons that and some of the objections maybe from folks who are thinking, why do I bother with this? We're going to go over some of the key social media networks in terms of priority, which ones you might focus on, which ones you might not need to focus as much on, and then 5 steps we're going to give you. So to get more referrals from social media. And really, steps 1 through 4 are kind of building the basis for getting more engagement and getting more referrals. So your strategy, the profiles you need to build out, the network growth, and how to get that content that you should be producing. Again, these are all easy things that you can do, but they are sort of prerequisites before you finally get to engagement and ultimately getting more referrals from social media. And then some do's and don'ts, as I mentioned earlier, as well as summary. And then at the end, as I said, we're going to have a Q&A and get into some of the special offers we have. Okay, so myths and fears, and these are some of the things we hear every day from our clients and other small businesses, in terms of why aren't we doing social media, with our practices. And so some of the things we hear is, well, my clients aren't using it. It's only for young people. It's only for millennials. And Lee is going to give you some data on why that really is a myth. That's really not true anymore. That it is very pervasive, and a lot of folks are doing it. It's a waste of time, or I don't have time. So it's a waste of time. Well, that's only if you make it so. And I don't have time. We understand you are busy, especially during key tax times throughout the year. So while it's legitimate in terms of it's not a myth, but it is something that's a fear, and one of the reasons that people are hesitant to dive in to social media. It can be complicated, and it's hard. Is some of the things we hear. We don't, a lot of what we hear is I don't know what to say. I've been spending all day doing taxes. Last thing on my mind at midnight is, after I put the kids to bed, is what do I say on Facebook, to my clients. So I really don't know what to say on social media is one of the things we hear. I'm on Facebook, so isn't that enough? Or I've created an account, I'm posting a little bit, isn't that enough? Is one of the other things we often hear. There's a lot of noise, which is true, but again, we're going to give you some ideas on how to break through some of that clutter, so that you can get through, you can create some meaningful content that will get noticed and get you noticed with your prospective clients and clients that you have out there. Okay, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Lee.
All right, thanks, Brad. So I'm going to start with the why bother, and the most obvious thing is your prospects and clients are there. So if billions of people are on social media and your network is on social media, think of it kind of as a extension of your client newsletter. So social media allows you to communicate and push content to your prospects and clients in a very easy and cost-effective way. 78% of households with 75,000 plus of income use social media. And then 84% of those, 18 to 49, use social media. So these should be the target audience of what you're looking for. Your referral sources are there, so meaning your best clients, your best ambassadors, those that talk about you. It's kind of the modern day word of mouth. They are on social media, and if you want to communicate and engage them, they're going to be your best people to spread the word about your brand. Social influencers, community leaders in media, and an example here is we've had many opportunities for guest blogging, for interviews, purely from our own social media presence. So because people are on Twitter and they're looking for people that are communicating or posting articles about content that they're looking for, we have, and I've been interviewed specifically from people that have found me because of our own social media profiles. It's a low-cost, high-return medium, obviously. So there's a no cost other than your time, unless you hire someone like us to help manage it. But basically, you can't get a better return on your investment than through social media. This is a very important thing that people don't realize. It takes much more than a website to get your business ranked nowadays, and social media is a part of the algorithm and how brands are ranked. So there are things that we call social signals, so how many people are liking or commenting on your posts. This all goes into the search optimization of your brand. So the more active you are, the more followers, the more engagement you have, you're going to be rewarded by the search engines. And I think this is the biggest thing. It's kind of what ClientWise is all about. We help showcase professionals' expertise, and social media just allows us to push that kind of the teach and learn to your audience. And it's really about showing and building your expertise online. Easy to get help from others. I looked at this originally as two ways. One, there are firms like us that can help you. There's people that understand and use social media, so don't feel as if you have to master it. There is an easy way to find help with this. The other thing is, I looked at this question or this bullet a little bit different way. The audience, your clients and prospects, use social media to get help themselves. So this is how kind of the modern day word of mouth starts is, they need help. They go to their Facebook account or LinkedIn and they say, hey, who do you work with? Or, I'm starting up a small business. I'm not sure what entity to pick. They're going to go to their friends first, and this is kind of how the dialogue starts. So I think it's an important thing to realize. social media is challenging Google for driving web traffic, and if you're following Google and kind of the changes they've been making on their search engine results, you're going to see that they're realizing that mobile devices, smaller screen sizes, more people are spending more time on mobile, and what this means is they're really in their social apps. You know, they're going straight to Facebook, straight to Twitter on their mobile phones, and kind of missing the whole Google desktop experience. So this is a huge area. It's a threat to them, but it's a huge area to realize that, you know, a lot of us think of the old days, or right now, you know, search engines are all about Google, but, you know, a huge part of the population now is their faces are in their mobile phones and devices, and they're on these apps. There is a big market that if you're not on social media, you're missing. And some of these stats, we like to throw stats out just to kind of validate what we're saying. 72% of adults visit Facebook at least once a month. Social media plays a huge role in purchasing decisions, and social media plus reviews are kind of how people validate what brands they work with today. 57% of consumers say they are somewhat or very influenced by what they read about businesses online. And the most important one here at the bottom is 90% of young adults use social media. And if you're not attracting millennials, whether as employees or, more importantly, clients, you need to start, because as the aging client bases occur, you know, the biggest opportunity here are all these solopreneurs, all these young people. They're making a lot of money. They're going to need your type of services. So it's definitely, you know, whether it be starting businesses, whether it be minimizing their taxes. So it's definitely an important thing to realize as you go.
Okay, thanks, Lee. So I'm going to walk you through some of the social media networks that you're obviously, I'm sure, familiar with in terms of using it yourself or using it for your practice, but I'm going to give you a little bit of prioritization, and at least from our point of view, as it relates to accounting and tax practices. So which are the social media networks you should care most about in what we think is the priority order? And so I'm going to start with what I would call the big four, and you probably can guess them, but I'm going to start with LinkedIn first. Because I really believe it is, for most accounting firms and accounting practices, CPA firms, it really is going to be your best source to find clients, to interact with clients, to find prospective clients, and other referral sources too. And I'm going to talk about those types of sources beyond your clients in a minute. But it has over 400 million users. Obviously, Microsoft just bought it for a big price. It is the #1 business professional network in the world. And number 2, Facebook. So it's bigger, and it is the #1 network for consumers in terms of usage. It is a great source to find new clients, especially if you have a tax preparation practice. Even with small business owners, they are very, very active. Obviously, they're there as well, and it's a good way to showcase some of the lighter, what I call the lighter side of your firm. So photos, things that are a little more visual, a little bit more laid back. You know, people in their frame of mind when they're viewing Facebook versus viewing LinkedIn content are just in a different frame of reference, frame of mind. So those two are really, if all you do in social media is using those two networks and really maxing them out, you're pretty well covered for most accounting and tax practices. And you know, there's lots of room to improve on both, and we could actually do full webinars on each one of those. But if you're only going to do two, those would be the two that I'd recommend for you. Twitter is also obviously very big, over 300 million users. It is a great source for really fast news and kind of interacting with influencers. The media, in your local media even, is pretty active there. Community organizations. It's a great way to get sort of a little bit active, but it also has a lot of noise too. But it is a good channel to get your firm on. And then Google Plus rounds out what we call the big four. It actually is the biggest, believe it or not, of all the social media networks. It has 2.5 billion accounts. That doesn't mean they're all active, though. Most are actually not. But you do also need it for Google Business pages that you have. It comes with Gmail anyway, so it is a place you'll probably find a lot of clients. But it's not a place that I would spend a lot of time in terms of interacting. You know, out of the four that are on here, it's probably the fourth in terms of really investing any time in it. There's lots and lots of other social media networks. YouTube would probably be next on the list, as well as Instagram. If you have video content, YouTube, you definitely want to be there and posting content and interacting there. Same with photos. If your firm is going to produce a lot of photos and Lee's going to talk about content in a little bit here, that would be the place to go. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about either of these two yet, and I would definitely not worry too much about Pinterest or Tumblr or Vine or lots of the other apps, WhatsApp and all kinds of stuff out there. So I would not worry too much about these at this point unless you sort of master the others. Would be the suggestion there. So we're going to go ahead and get a little interactive here, and I'd love to hear from you. And so we're going to launch a poll question here. Let's see. Go ahead and get that started. So, which social networks, maybe some of the ones that I just mentioned, is your firm actively using? So it's not that you just have an account there. You actively are posting to it. You are watching. You are commenting on it, or someone at your firm is. I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll, and hopefully you'll see that come up on the screen. You should be able to make some choices here, and you can check as many as you like. And it is a little bit qualitative, so I'm not going to define what active means. Sort of have you define what you think active means. Whether are you active enough, I guess, may be a question, but it's a place that you really are spending a lot of time. And I probably should have, put the big four after this question. I probably jaded you now, and now you're all picking, some of the top ones that I listed there. I'm going to go ahead and leave that open just for a few more seconds. Please go ahead and vote. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hurry. I'm going to close the poll. Okay, I'm going to close it. So now I'm going to go ahead and share it with you and share the results. And so it lines up pretty well with actually some of the Pew data that Lee went through in terms of amount of people that are active out there using it. So about equal between LinkedIn and Facebook, about half Twitter, and then it's not so many on Google, and even far less up there on YouTube. YouTube, by the way, is a very big opportunity. Again, it's almost a whole nother webinar that we potentially could do on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that poll, and we'll get back through the presentation here. Okay, turning it back over to Lee.
All right, thanks, Brad. So the first thing I want to talk about is setting up your strategy. And what this really means is, obviously, what do you want to accomplish by going into social media, and kind of create a little mini business plan to kind of detail or outline what you're trying to do. I think one of the biggest issues we see is a brand, an accounting site might have a website, and then they create a Facebook account, and it completely changes the way the look and feel is from their website. Meaning, if you're not matching your brand message, the type of clients you're servicing, your message, your unique selling proposition on your social media sites, that is a big, no-no. You want to make sure that the experience your clients have is consistent throughout all the different areas that people can find you. One of the things that we see often is kind of this whole idea is, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to find new clients or serve existing clients? And that will kind of change how aggressive you are with your social media campaigns. So meaning, do you want to, if you're trying to find new clients, you might try to use some advertising, you might boost posts on Facebook, things like that. If you're purely trying to, retain clients, get more referrals from your existing clients, your goal might be just to get as many clients as possible following you, sharing your content and just giving them really good quality content throughout the year. One of the things that we do see is people jumping the gun, and we like people to start with their website, get their newsletter set up, make sure they're blogging. Reviews are huge. Reviews are one of the biggest helps with search engine optimization, and more importantly, if you have a bunch of reviews before you start trying to attract people, it's going to help with your conversion rates. They can see, real client experiences, what people are saying about you, and it's not a sales pitch anymore. It's just definitely, the client saying you're selling for you. Social strategy. So, set your social goals. So, how complete is your profile? So if you just put up a missing picture, that's one of the worst, right? So to have a LinkedIn account and you have the place saver, kind of things you really need to focus on. How big of a network can you build? What type of content quality and how often are you going to post? What is your engagement goals? How many leads do you want to receive from social media? And I think these are important things just to at least have a framework of what you're trying to do. Get help from someone, whether you can have office people help, if there's some younger people that know social media better in your office, get them on board on your strategy and make sure they understand what you're trying to accomplish and the type of content you want to to be posting and sharing. And that's one thing we'll go over later, but a lot of times, people get way outside of what their relationship with their client is, whether it be helping a business grow, whether it be helping a client minimize taxes. People start getting a little off message, and I think it's important to define these roles ahead of time. So set your team roles, create the tools and put the time in, and you'll be much better served.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lee. And so the second part of the strategy is on really who are your clients? Who are you going after? Just for example, let's say it's small business owners and maybe high net worth individuals, and you're going to do either accounting and tax or maybe some wealth management and financial planning yourself. Who are your clients? And then from that, who are going to be your best referral sources? So obviously, as Lee said, your clients, they are going to be your best possible sources for referrals for new clients. But then there's also other accountants. So let's say, and non-competitive. So let's say you focus on tax resolution and IRS tax problems, but you just don't do accounting. So you're going to look for a CPA that does accounting and maybe payroll and some other things, or vice versa. Or you just really all you do is tax preparation, and then when it gets to those sticky IRS audit and back taxes issues, things like that, you're going to refer them to a tax resolution specialist, or you're just a bookkeeper and you don't do tax, those kinds of things. So all of those other accountants that are out there on social media could be referral sources for you for new clients. Same thing with financial planners and wealth managers. Again, they may not do tax or they may not do accounting. Great referral sources. Business attorneys in your local area, commercial attorneys, great sources for helping you find clients. Bankers, that focus on small business banking, commercial realtors, insurance brokers, all kinds of professionals in your local area in particular who are out there, who are on social media, and these are all great folks for you to get in front of, connect with, and great sources for you. So set these out and from the beginning, and then once we get to some of the later ones, we'll talk about how you sort of go out and look for some of these. Okay, so that's step one, setting your strategy before you get out there and get started. Okay, step two, building out your profiles, in particular a lot of those networks, the big four at least, that we talked about. My number one recommendation on your profiles is this: get a good photo. It's very, very important for you. Now, don't go into paralysis though, and if you don't have a good photo, I'm not even going to get started at all. Use the photo that you have for yourself. In particular, I don't recommend a logo like for your own LinkedIn profile. It might be fine for Twitter, but and I'm going to show you why in a second here. These are some of our clients. These are great photos. Just looking at these photos, these are people you want to connect with. They're friendly. They have a great smile. They look professional. These are so when you start going out and connecting with folks, this is what they're going to see. So if you ask for somebody to connect, or if you follow someone, are you going to follow any one of these folks back? I would, for sure. These look like friendly folks, people who might help me. So focusing on your photo is really the number one thing as far as your profile that I would recommend to you. I'm going to recommend this site. It's called photofeeler.com. You can actually go in there. I believe it's free. You can go in and upload your photo. You can actually test two different photos, and what they do is they send out the two photos that you upload, and they have real people look at it, and they rate your photo on whether you look confident, whether you look likable or influential, and you sort of get these scores back. And, take some of it with a grain of salt, but it's kind of fun. But go ahead and try a couple of photos, and that way, pick the best one. But some of the things through their studies, and I have at the bottom, and we can send this link later, they actually had done a lot of research on what photos get the highest scores across these different business and professional measures. The biggest one, or one of the biggest ones, is it's a nice close-up, but then also a smile. This guy right in this photo is actually not showing teeth, but they actually showed something like a 50% increase in likability just based on showing some teeth. When you smile, believe it or not, that is 50% increase in likability for your photo, for your profile, for social media. So nice, natural smile, show some teeth, no squinting or tilting or funny faces or funny poses, just normal, standard photo. I know people want to be creative sometimes. I know sometimes you want to show your pet instead of yourself or some artistic-looking view of your photo. Some people will do that. But just, don't do it. Formal attire, that's another one that gets high scores. This guy's wearing a tie. instantly get competent ratings and influential to go up. Those scores go up based on formal attire. Sorry, no shorts and flip-flops and pictures on the beach. Not blurred or solid backgrounds, and avoid covering your head and all those kinds of things. So test out photo filler. So photos are a big part of your profiles. Okay. So next on your profiles, okay, the business versus personal. So this is another one that I'll stress because we see it and we help clients with social media all the time. And what happens is people create personal pages. On Facebook in particular is one that's sort of sticky, where you'll create a Facebook page where you're connected to all your college friends and high school friends, and then you somehow want to turn that into a business page. Well, that doesn't always work very well. Okay, so for your firm, I would recommend Gmail. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But just create Joe Smith CPA at gmail.com. Just create some Gmail account. And the reason, and I'm going to talk about why Gmail. You can use your domain, but I would say Gmail, and use that for your social media for your business. If you've already used your personal one, there are things we can do and things that you can do to get around that. But that's what I would recommend. And then create pages: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Using well, LinkedIn, it might be a little bit tougher, but the other three at least use this, something like that. And then you're going to need to come up with a screen name or a link name or a username. There's some implications to SEO. We actually have clients whose, because they do things like Newport Beach CPA or something like that, that's a little longer, Irvine CPA, in their screen name, they actually get some SEO benefit, but most folks just use their brand name when they create the screen name or their link name for the different social media. And you can also have a company page versus an individual page for you. So on LinkedIn, for example, you can have your profile, and then you can create a business page, or for your practice or for your business. You can be the manager. You can have multiple people be the manager. I would recommend creating both, although most of the interaction is going to come from your individual. And same thing with Facebook. You can also have a Facebook business page, which is where you're going to want to be. In Facebook, that's the predominant place that you want to do it. Twitter, you're going to have your own. It's just going to be one page most likely. You can have your own personal Twitter, and then you can have a business page too. But I would say just one on Twitter to start. And now, so the content on these profiles. So I'm going to use LinkedIn, and these are all the fields that LinkedIn asks for. Fill them out completely and make sure they're consistent. Make sure your photos and your descriptions are all, and your summaries are all consistent. Make sure you have things like your name, your business name, your address, your phone number. As much as you can put on these profiles, fill them out, because it's going to help you. It's going to show things like your education, awards, your community involvement. Get some nice keywords in there for search engines, because as Lee said, social media more and more is becoming picked up by search engines. It's going to help you. Going back to the screen name, we have one of our clients who's on page 1 of Google with his Twitter account because he has Make One CPA and he has nice keywords in his Twitter account. So fill it all out. Testimonials and reviews, get those on all of your pages as well as you can fit them. Obviously, LinkedIn asks for a lot. Twitter asks for very little. And then, Facebook and Google somewhere in between in terms of the amount of content that they ask for. But start with LinkedIn if you like, because that's going to be, give you all the detail that you can then potentially use for some of the other. And so the two at the bottom that I've highlighted there too, skills and recommendations. So you do need to add skills, because that way people can rate you on those skills. And that's going to be important in a second here on one of my later slides. Okay, so now the poll question number 2. And based on number 1, I think I got some idea of what the responses might be. But have you had any, just to sort of get where you're at, have you had any clients come through social media to your firm? So have you, and this might be hard to tell, so one of the answers is not sure or don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll question. So, and it is hard to tell, but maybe they've told you, hey, I saw you on LinkedIn, or we connected on LinkedIn, or you recognize them, or something like that. Have you had any prospective clients or clients come to you as far as you know, or you just don't know, and that's fine too. So has it been a source of social media, or excuse me, a source of clients for you to be out there on social media with yourself or your firm? So I'll go ahead and give that just a few seconds for folks to answer there. But it is a little hard to tell, and like Lee said earlier, I mean, you do have to have a website, you have to have all these other things, and so this is just one way they can come to you, and they may come to you multiple ways. And they are going to, even if they find you on social media, they're going to check your reviews, and they're going to check your website and other things too. So sometimes in that path to get to you, you may not know the path. But at least I'm seeing some action that people are getting. So I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. and I'm going to share the results with you. And so good. It looks like a little over a third have already seen come through. A third approximately have said no, nothing yet. Seeing goose egg on social media for me. And then, the other third saying really not too sure. And that's about what I expected. Hopefully, after you implement some of these things, these numbers will go up, and hopefully we'll all ask you later. I mean, I'd like to see that be, the yes be 100% here after we work with you and after this presentation. Okay. So we talked about step 1, which was strategy, step 2, which was building out your profiles, and now we're going to talk about once you have those profiles built out, they look good, your photo looks good, you've got your strategy in place, you've got all of the website and everything, now let's start growing some of these social media networks so you can actually have an audience, you can have people that you're connected with, and growing your network. Okay, so the biggest way to jumpstart this is to upload your contacts and your client lists and things like that. So your lists across those 4 that we mentioned, and then doing it every so often. And so pretty much all of the networks that are out there are going to allow you, and I'm going to show the screen here next, so I'm actually going to show you a little bit more detail on it. So what you can do, though, is load your contacts, your clients, into that Gmail account. And then what you can do is connect the Gmail account to LinkedIn, to Twitter, to Facebook, and it will pull in all of those clients and contacts that you have, and it's going to tell you whether those contacts are out there on social media, and it's going to allow you to either invite them to connect with you on LinkedIn, for example, invite them to follow you or to follow them on Twitter, invite them if you'd like to like your business page on Facebook. So that's an easy way to kind of jumpstart your network, is to upload your client list. And then once you're out there, start getting involved with some of the local professional groups that are in your, so there's usually in most cities, for example, on LinkedIn or even on Google, sometimes Facebook, a, Miami Small Business Owners Group or, an accountants group or some other type of group, and that'll allow you to start getting in front of people as well and start interacting with them. And by the way, if there isn't one, you could always start one as well. And then search out and connect people. And I'm going to particularly focus on LinkedIn, as you heard earlier, a little bit biased on that in terms of the ability to get to referral sources and especially growing your network. So I'm going to show you some screenshots, but they offer up people you may know. They allow you to search. It's a pretty deep dive you can do in LinkedIn. Twitter a little bit as well, but you can search for those referral sources. And I'm going to show you a little bit and do that regularly. So and invite people. So once you've got these accounts set up, you probably have a client list of some sort. You probably have a friends even list or contact list of some sort. Shoot them a quick email to let them know, hey, I'd love to connect with you. I'd love for you to follow us. It's an email that goes out with links to your social media profiles that allows them to follow you and connect with you on social media. Okay, now going back to the contacts. So uploading your contacts, and we will, after the recording, we'll have some links to some of the help sites that show you how to do this and where you go within each of them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because, again, we could spend a whole hour just on this topic probably, but we will provide some links, and there are some help. You can get help on LinkedIn and all the sites to do this, but they all do allow you to import your contacts from Gmail, but also Yahoo Mail, Hotmail, AOL. You can actually, at the bottom there, you can import a file. So if you have a CSV file, a comma separated value file from something like Outlook or Excel with all your contacts, you can upload them to LinkedIn. They will match up those email addresses with your list, and then you can invite them to connect with you. And same thing with Twitter. You can connect it with your Gmail where you have those contacts that hopefully you've already uploaded. You can search them out and follow them on Twitter. And then same thing on Facebook with the business account you created. You can invite them to like your page. So pretty much all of these networks allow you to have some kind of mass upload for contact lists that you can then invite, and that's, like I said, it's one really great way to jumpstart your ability to grow your following. Okay, so LinkedIn, there's something called People You May Know, and there's in the upper right-hand corner of your home page, as well as with the main navigation. Again, we'll offer some links to show you how to get there. Now, use this with caution. So LinkedIn, it's kind of people you may know, wink, wink, to some extent, although really, I mean, when it comes down to it, they really do only want you to connect with people you do know on LinkedIn. So you do have to be very careful about that. And same thing with the contacts as well. And we actually see Rebecca there has a comment that just came through. So you do have to be careful. So on the you shouldn't be mass importing lead lists that you've purchased. Same thing with this people you may know. Just don't go spamming and hitting every contact button that you see on the page. Be discreet about it. It really is designed for people you may know. But I would say, again, if you've got a nice photo, if you've got a nice profile, most folks, at the worst, they'll ignore it if they don't want to, respond and connect with you. At best, they're going to respond and they're going to connect with you and connect back to you. So, this is a page that you can go to often, and they are serving those up, and there are people mostly in your area. And once you start connecting with people, it actually, it'll show you the list of people you uploaded. It'll show you other similar people that you're connected to. So you can connect with people here. And then that's a little out of order there, but there's search as well. So LinkedIn has a really good search tool. So if you see at the top there, I just typed in the search box, Denver small business attorney. And then on the left-hand side over here, after you've done the search, you can filter it. And so you can filter it, for example, by second-level connections. First connections are people you're connected with. Second level just means, they're connected to someone you're connected with. So those are really the two you should select there. You can select by location. So I put in the keyword Denver, but then you can actually just check the box for Denver, or whatever city you're in. You can also do industry. So if you wanted to just connect with people who are in, investment banking or law or medical, all kinds of different industry selections that you can do. On the left-hand side now are categories that you can select if you are a premium member of LinkedIn. So if you're a free member, it limits you a little bit in terms of the fine-tuning you can do on the search. If you're premium, which costs anywhere from, I think it's as low as $28 a month up to like $60 a month. If you wanted to go there, it'll unlock some of these other things that'll allow you to do more searches. But let's say I'm a CPA in Denver and I'm looking for attorneys to connect with. Sure enough, David Seraphin says that he's a small business attorney, and so I could either hit the connect button with him and connect with him. If there's a little drop down right here, if you just want to send him an email, so you can send him an email too. The other thing here, there it is. Okay, so on the upper right-hand corner, when you do this search, you can actually save that search, which is really handy to save a bunch of different searches that you want to do to find people, and then it'll actually email you results when new folks join or when they change their profiles. So when new Denver attorneys show up on LinkedIn, they'll actually email you with those folks that have just joined. You can click the see new people from your email that you get, and then sure enough, there's other folks there that you could potentially connect with. So those are some ways to grow your connections. And once you get to somebody's profile, a couple options you can do. You can either hit the connect button, and then it'll bring up another screen. And if it's somebody you know, you just sort of designate how you know them. You can also follow them on LinkedIn. You can obviously follow people on Twitter as well. You can like business pages for other businesses on Facebook. You can have them join your circles on Google. So there's lots of different options to connect with people. If you want to do the low-key way, following them is still going to get them a little notice, that, hey, Brad's following you now. And so you're going to get in front of somebody even if you just hit the follow button. So going back to the concern that somebody had about, well, I'm going to get, dinged by LinkedIn if I go out and reach out to those other people, you can follow them. LinkedIn loves that, and that's perfectly fine. If you don't want to connect with them, or if you don't know them well enough to, hit the connect button, you can hit the follow. They're still going to get notified. Or you can ask them to connect, and then it'll pop up something like on their screen that looks something like that. And they get the little red number 1 when you invite them to connect with you. Okay, so that's connecting on LinkedIn. Twitter, oops, that one went a little too far, so ignore the ads thing over there on the right. On Twitter, you can look for things like the Chambers of Commerce. That's a place that we often recommend to clients. And we help clients with all of this as well, by the way. But go to your local, so again, this is the Denver Chamber of Commerce Twitter page. And if you go to their followers list, they actually have 20,000 followers. You might find some other small businesses and practices in Denver who are on Twitter, and they might be good folks for you to follow and get in front of. So you might find prospective clients, you might find lead sources by going to pages like this on Twitter. So ads are another way, and someone had asked a question about ads on Facebook earlier. And so you can do ads on Twitter, you can do ads on Facebook to drive likes, to drive following, to just get engagement. There's all kinds of different options. You can start with small budgets and move up from there. I, again, personally wouldn't recommend doing that until you do all these other things. But it is a way for you to jumpstart. Twitter, I would do more of this, which I just recommended, following people, and then they will follow you back if they want to, and that's very effective to grow your Twitter following. Facebook is a little harder out of all the different networks in terms of getting more likes to your page. It's a little harder. So some people do go ahead and do Facebook ads or boost posts and things like that. And I'll talk about that in a second here. So yeah, with Facebook, it's giveaways we found are effective for clients. And so I have a client who does an annual raffle, and they actually do a video, live video. I don't know if it's live or not, but they do a video where they select one of their clients' names and from Facebook and things like that. Polls, photos. Lee's going to talk about content, posting videos. These are all things that get shared. So, and controversial things sometimes. You don't want to do, and Lee's going to talk about the content part of it, but I don't want to step on what he's going to talk about. But there's lots of content, let's say, that you can get on Facebook, and that's really one of the main ways to get following there, but you can do ads, as I mentioned. Okay, so with that, turn it over to Lee.
Great, Brad. So there's two different types of content, basically. There's original content and then what I'll call shared or curated content. And both strategies work very well. What we have found is original content gets much more engagement, likes, shares. And so what do we mean by original content? So photographs. So whether it be staff photographs, client photographs, photos of your building, whatever, your office, it shows more of the personality of your firm. I think it connects more with clients, and social media sites are there to be social, right? So kind of share yourself, and I think what you'll find is a lot more engagement from your client base. We love sharing testimonials and review snippets, so meaning if you have a review on Yelp or taxbuzz.com and you basically can screen capture it, give a thank out or a shout out to whoever gave you the testimonial, and basically then share that with your entire audience. I think that's a great way to help build credibility and kind of build up your firm. Press releases and firm news. So a perfect example of that is the Chamber of Commerce has 20,000 followers, right? And if you have a relationship with them and you're putting out press releases or firm news that they find interesting, there's a better chance that A, they might write about you, but B, more importantly, they might share that with their 20,000 followers. And if it's the Denver City of Commerce, that's probably, and you're a CPA in Denver, I mean, that's a pretty good kind of free advertising and kind of validation of who you are, that you're a legit firm in the area. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Blog posts and articles. So, for our clients, we do 2 to 3 posts a week. We try to make blog posts about life events. You're trying to share your knowledge, right? You're showcasing your expertise. Life events speak to people when they're making changes, whether that be they need more assistance, they might be starting a business, they might be getting a divorce, they might be saving for retirement, children's education, whatever it is. That type of content gets shared more often, and I think it's important. You can use a lot of different hashtags that speak to audiences that would be, caring about that type of content. So I think that's a great place for original content. The live events, whether you put on webinars, we have several clients that are very heavy into doing webinars, and they have great attendance. They're building their firms through this. So it's definitely a strategy that has worked very well. Mention any charity events. A lot of people do the shredding events, things like that. Those are just excellent ways to post content online. The giveaways and the polls, Team Tax and Temecula, Brad had mentioned, I don't know if they did it last year, but they had done that several years in a row, and it was amazing how many people were engaged in this campaign. And I wrote a blog article on ClientWise blog about this specific thing. So sweepstakes might, whether legally they can do them in your area, it's something definitely to think about. Videos and infographics. Infographics are things that could be, latest tax stats. They could be about different tax planning strategies, or, how to start a business, those kind of things. And videos, YouTube is one of the biggest, basically, search engines in the world. So the more video you have, people engage video, especially on Facebook. A lot of people put the text of the video because the volume is down. It's a great way to get a lot more engagement. When we talk about curated content, this is searching out content that you think applies to your client base. So, finding articles about tax planning. If you're into startup businesses, you're going to post articles that you find. So this might be on Forbes. This might be something you found on Bloomberg. This might be, an article another professional had shared. I think those type of things it needs to apply to your client base. Sometimes we see people, putting stuff out there that is completely unrelated to what you do in your relationship with clients, and at times that can get a little messy. Clients and their kids and pets. We have what we call our social accountants. We created kind of lobby cards is what we call them. We've put, there's a picture of the cutest tax deduction ever. That got 48 likes and shares on Facebook. Now that means that your audience, your followers, have shared that picture, your brand, 48 times throughout their network. And you can't pay for that type of advertising. That's free validation of who you are. So using staff photos, event photos, making it a little more personalized, getting your staff and again, kids and pets seem to be huge from what we've seen. So the charity events, like a golf event, anything like that. These are things we've found have gotten heavy usage as far as sharing and likes and like. The social accountant is the bottom two photos, the cutest tax deduction and these other lobby cards. These are things that you put out. It starts the engagement. It makes it easy if a client is in your office to get a picture, and then you're going to share it on your social site. The client's going to share it on theirs, and people love liking and commenting on pictures of themselves or their children, pets again. So this is a huge way and an easy way to utilize social media to really get your brand name out there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lee. So step 5, I know we're running a little bit long. I did say that there's a lot to cover, so we're trying to move quickly. Lots of good stuff. So engaging and connecting with your connections. So we said teach and learn was step 4. Step 5 is really about giving. And then, getting ultimately is the path that we want to get to, but you have to first give. And so liking and retweeting and commenting. So 10 to 15 minutes a day, if you have the time, or you can, set aside one day a week, maybe, that's fine. But look through your stream of your connections, like things on Twitter. You can retweet them. You can make comments on them. You can share them sharing articles from your connections with other people. That's going to get you in front of them every single time you do that. You can also send them a little welcome message. And so let's say somebody does accept your connection on LinkedIn, a little note, not salesy, just to say, hey, thanks for connecting with me, Lee. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. I'm an accountant. I work with small businesses. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Just a real short, quick, and sweet message to welcome them and to thank them for accepting your connection. Looking for life events, and I'm going to show you some screenshots on LinkedIn in particular that you can reach out to or you can comment on for people in your network. So birthdays, anniversaries, if they change jobs, if they get an award, if they're in the press. You can send them messages through LinkedIn or other things directly, direct messages or in-mails, or you can send them emails. Leave recommendations for them on social media. Invite them to comment through email or other places on some of your social media. Join a group, do a meetup call with them. Offer referrals to them first. Always a good thing to do is to say, hey, if I notice you're a lawyer, I do have small business clients, hey, maybe I might refer somebody to you in the future. Great way to get started is for you to take the first step. And then finally, once you've done all of this work, it's not that much actually, then you can actually request referrals. And I'm going to show you some examples. So on the LinkedIn part of it, they actually have a page. If you go to your connections page on LinkedIn, they give you this nice little page that says, hey, Jamie has a work anniversary and Bob has a birthday and, Joyce just changed jobs or whatever. You can go to their profile. You can comment on the announcement. You can like it. You can also just say congrats. And if you click on the say congrats, you can either email them or you can send them a message on LinkedIn saying, hey, happy anniversary. Hope you're doing well, kind of a thing. So that's a great page to go to. There's also in the upper left-hand corner there for Dan, you can see that he had an anniversary and I can like it. And, great way to get in front of your referral sources. And some people will, like you back if you congratulate them on their job change or whatever, or their birthday or, So these are also emails. These are just drafts, similar, types of messaging you can use. So if they're having, an anniversary, hey, good to be connected with you. Just notice you have 10 years. Can we connect? Or, hey, I noticed it's your birthday, Lee. Again, not real salesy, Just get in front of them with a nice little message that says that you noticed, and you're in front of them, and you have a good reason to reach out to them, based on some of these life events. So skills, and so I mentioned earlier, get your own skills for yourself on your profile, and then you can go out and actually rate the skills of others. So you can go in and say, hey, I think Brad is a good, tax guy or a small business guy or CPA or whatever, and you can endorse them for skills. You can also recommend them, as well on LinkedIn. These are the primary places to do that. You can also, and so again, use caution on these. You should know the people. You should know that they are actually a good tax person before you go in there. Go ahead and, but they get notified every time you do this. There are some limits. I believe it's about 125 skills that you can rate per day on LinkedIn. So there are some limits that you have to doing that. And then again, the thing that I would say is offer up, yourself to give referrals of your clients. Hey, I noticed you work with small businesses. You know what? I've got small business clients. I'd love to recommend somebody in the future. Do you have a few minutes for a call? Let's do a call and make that connection. So lead with, the potential for them to get referrals from you, and then hopefully, it'll go back the other way. So ultimately, then once you've gotten in front of them, they've seen your content, they know who you are, you've interacted with them. These are messages you can send either just in a conversation with them or through an email to your clients. We have, so this is just an example, it's just a mock-up, but we have in our platform actually built-in emails for this exact purpose, for asking for referrals, for asking for reviews and recommendations, for visiting social media. There's all kinds of things that we can do inside of our platform to get you in front of your clients to ask them for referrals. So you do have to eventually ask at some point, and so there are nice subtle ways. Hey, thank you for being a client. Is there anybody else that you would know that might need our services? And you can do it via email as well. Hey, it's good to catch up with you last month. Is there any, as we discussed, anybody that you know that can benefit from my services? And then if you do get referrals, this is obvious, I think, but I do need to say it. We have an email that's built right into our system where you can send them an email and thank them. That's very important. If you are successful, you got the big thumbs up, you got them to refer a client to you, either one of your clients, referred somebody, or one of those referral sources we talked about, other professionals, please be sure to thank them. Very important. Lee, over to you.
All right, thank you, Brad. So kind of a summary now, the do's and the don'ts. I think we've already kind of gone over, start with a simple plan and kind of set your expectations and get the basics in place. And what that means is make sure your profile is optimized, it's complete, make sure that the branding is matching your website and your newsletter, things like that. Make it accountant focused and make it so it's quality, not quantity. And the reason I say that is we have thousands of clients that we monitor and we manage their sites. And some clients will use us and other third-party services. And what we see is those third-party services start posting, recipes or just, weight loss things that, to me, we don't see any engagement from their client base. I think it's out of place. Why would my accountant or my tax person be sharing that kind of content? And it gets very little engagement. And I think if you want your content to be engaged, make it quality first, not quantity. And I really believe you can spend 15 minutes per day doing this on your own practice. I usually spend in the morning when I come in, I give myself 15 to 30. In the afternoon, I do 15 to 30 minutes of social media work. And it's just part of my day. It's a habit. And anything you make a habit, I think, can really pay off long term. So the do-nots, there might be some argument back and forth with this, but we have found mixing business and personal accounts to be a little dicey. Some people do it all day long, and they engage clients. They may lose some clients here or there, but it is creating a relationship, and you are creating a brand. You're being authentic. But we usually suggest don't mix those business and personal accounts. Make sure your business message is on point. We don't recommend hiring, what I consider kind of the rip-off of that social media expert who doesn't understand what you do. I mean, your business is solving problems. So whether it be helping a business, doing virtual CFO services, whatever you're doing, you're assisting an area of need for that business. So, you want to work with somebody who actually understands what those needs are and, doesn't throw a bunch of content out there that doesn't match up. And be realistic. Don't overestimate the results. It's kind of something where it's sometimes hard to gauge everything, but what we've seen is the people that have dedicated themselves, they're getting that engagement, they're going to have higher client retention rates, and there's no question they're going to get more reviews and more referrals. So I think that's kind of the basics, and I had mentioned the don'ts. This is kind of an example of, a weight loss post, and it might work for some people, but what we've noticed is firms that have tried this approach have gotten zero activity. So I really, recommend staying on message.
I'm going to go with the nut butter on that one, by the way.
Or there you go.
Okay, so so let's just go back through it again. So your strategy, and there's just some time estimates here. So 1 hour, maybe to set up your strategy, with your other partners or people in the firm, get some people, set up to do some things for you. It does take some time to build out your profiles. Those are things that we do for our clients, actually, building out the profiles. We actually also can connect you up to content. So we can post 2 to 3 times a week with accounting and tax content for you. So a lot of this we can do for you. As Lee said, spend it, for growing your network, teaching and learning, engaging. 15, 20 minutes a day would be good. You can also just set some time and maybe crank out an hour or something on the weekend or whatever. But if you can set aside the time to do that, the return is going to be very high for you. And again, we're here to help on that too. So the last poll question, real easy one. Hope I get a good answer on this one, but we'd love to help you. So, would you like some help? So, and you can also book some time with us. So go ahead and check that out. And yes, I'd like an expert to help me. Or no, you know what? I'm okay just walking alone, making mistakes and fumbling over myself and posting the wrong things and not getting a good return and spending a lot of money on something that doesn't work. So anyway, so obviously I'm giving you a loaded question there. I hope you would. It's not salesy. We'll reach out. We'll kind of give you some thoughts and recommendations specific to your firm and what you're doing, and would love to help you out. So we'll go ahead and close that poll, and you can obviously reach out after I close this afterwards as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take questions. We have a lot of questions that came in. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, and apologize we did go over about 10 to 12 minutes there. There was a lot to go through. As I said, we could probably have 3 hours of webinars on social media, so hopefully it was a good start for you. We'd love to continue the conversation. So we had some questions that came in. Please go ahead and send them in if you didn't get a chance to ask them, and we'll go ahead and take a look at those. And while those additional questions are coming in, mark your calendar. So, well, actually can't mark it, but you can, I guess, mark the week of the end of August, and we'll email you if you were registered for this webinar for the next one. And it's really focused on search engine optimization and search engine rankings, and that's super, super important for any, especially locally based practice, is to optimize your search engine ranking. So that's going to be the next one. And then, as I said, we have special offers for you. So we are going to have some gift cards for the more active folks. We are also going to give you 20% off. So the first 3 months of any new service, even if you're an existing client, you want to add a service with us, or if you're a brand new client, on our monthly marketing packages, 20% off the first 3 months. So that's an awesome deal. We're also going to give you $100 off the TaxSwiss Pro packages based off the regular price, and also going to waive most setup fees. There's a couple fees where it'll be $100 off, but lots of great deals there for the folks who are on this webinar. So I encourage you to reach out to us, look over what we can do for you. What we can do in social media, there's nobody else out there, I can tell you, that does what we do for you on social media. We have a couple of different options. They start at $69 a month, and that actually gives you the full website plus social media. There's a lot that you get with those packages, and then it goes up from there. And then we have the Whitney service, which is $299 a month, but it gives you amazing amount of things that we do for you on social media, search engine optimization, your website, all kinds of things. So great deals there. I would love to, for you to reach out to us, and hopefully we can talk about social media. Okay, so we're going to, and actually, I'm going to go back there. Okay, so questions. Lee, why don't you go ahead, and if there's some that you want to go ahead and take and respond to.
Sure. So John Ellis had asked about how good is purchasing ads on Facebook, and this is a webinar in itself, but what is great about Facebook is that you can really specifically target who your posts are going to be promoted to. So they have different options as well. So it could be more just promoting a post. If you're trying to get more followers or more likes in your area or just get your brand out, you can do very, very targeted. The issue I have found on Facebook is the quality of the traffic. So it's a low-cost way to get a lot of traffic. You can get very specific, demographic information. We have clients that have done very well using it, and we have clients that I think use it more as a kind of a brand, almost like a billboard, kind of a brand awareness. I can target an audience, and I think there's a lot that goes into thinking it through. So it's nothing I would just say, okay, let's just boost posts. I mean, the issue with Facebook is they do limit the amount of people that see your posts. Their algorithm does that. So if you really want to expand that, yeah, boosting can be an effective way to do that. And again, John, especially if you want to talk about that offline, we can kind of go over, what works. I'm going to go one more, and then Brad, if you want to take over. Ara had asked about the social lobby cards. Those are part of our kind of our marketing concierge packages. So they are the subscriptions that are in our Whitney and K2 level all get access to the social lobby cards. So it's something we can reach out to you and kind of talk over what the options are as well, because they are hugely effective and an easy way to jump into social media. Brad, you can go ahead and take a couple of these.
Okay, yeah. There was a good number of folks asking about that. So yeah, and definitely, as I said earlier, I would really like for you to do the first 5 steps, and if you've got those maxed out, I would say yes, then you can go ahead and layer on top of all of that some ads, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, or you can even, frankly, do LinkedIn ads. Those are going to be more expensive, but as Lee said, you also have to look at the quality, you also have to look at the type of engagement, you have to look at the frame of reference when they're on Facebook. Are they really thinking about taxes? Some of them may. Maybe they may be crying over, their Facebook while they're looking at their notices from the IRS or whatever. But yeah, so think about the audiences and the frame of reference they're in. I usually lean towards LinkedIn because they're in a business frame of reference for the most part. But for individual tax, definitely. Let's see. So going back to the imports, so there are going to be some more instructions on the imports, and you do have to be careful. I think we did answer that one. Yeah. So the common question was about the PowerPoint slides. For the presentation, those will be available. You will be receiving a PDF for the slides, so you'll get that as well as the recording of the video. And I think if there's any other questions that you see there, Lee, go ahead and grab them.
No, I'm just. Someone also asked about the boosting posts again.
Okay, so actually, one came in from Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. Yeah, so. I don't have a lot of connections. So yeah, I mean, like I said, so loading in a personal contact list or a contact list is a good way to sort of boost it and jumpstart it. And then just searching for people on LinkedIn, joining groups on LinkedIn in particular, just reaching out to them. So you can, with the premium subscription, and somebody had asked about that. I actually personally would recommend $50 a month on LinkedIn versus $50 a month on Facebook if you're going to use it. And what I mean by that is, are you going to be active? Are you going to be trying to connect with people? Because there are some features that you unlock on LinkedIn with the premium subscription that you can't with a free account. So you can send emails to people. As I said, you can connect with them. You can follow them. Those are all ways that you're going to get in front of them. All those different ways. And again, you can go back through the slides and look at some of those ways that I suggested that are going to get in front of people on LinkedIn, and they will follow you. They will connect with you. They will reach out to you as well as you reaching out to them. And it does take some time. But if you have a great photo, if you have a great profile, if it is somebody who makes sense for them to connect with, then they're going to connect with you, and it is going to start working for you. But it does take some time to build it up. And I'm just scanning through here. It looks like we've answered a lot of these other questions, Lee.
Yeah, I think we have, and then some of these I think we'll answer offline. So
yeah.
Some of the current clients. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, if you do have other questions, you can always email them to us. I do appreciate you. A large group of folks stayed with us a little over an hour here, so that's great. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you spending some time with us. So yeah, you will be getting the email with the slides. You'll be able to watch the video. Please share it. This is social media that we're talking about here, so we'd love for you. And I'll get you a special something on LinkedIn or something like that if you go ahead and share this webinar with others. that obviously helps us as well and helps us to get in front of more accountants and tax professionals. So once these are posted, once the video in particular is posted, we'd love it if you'd share it on your social media to benefit others. So thank you very much for your time, Lee. Go ahead and
Thanks again. I hope this was I hope this was beneficial. Again, we apologize for going a little long, but there's a lot to talk about here. But we hope everyone has a nice day.
All right, great. Thank you everyone for joining. Look forward to talking to you and seeing you soon.